Hey!
How's it going?
I'm good, thanks. Kids, Johnny Fox, right down here.
Sure,
We've got Sean
sure.
from the
Uh,
Artistic Movement.
Movement.
Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, that's just the latest event that's going to be in the next Olympics, right?
Well,
But you'd be
like to
wrong.
think. I'd like to think so. I'd like to think so. I'll be in the Olympics in 4 years' time.
Yeah, you'd be wrong in thinking Artistic Movement will be an Olympic event, but if putting on fantastic musical evenings could win you a
I
gold
am.
medal,
I
I'm
am.
sure this guy will get a few.
I hope I.
Oh, that is.
You just froze for a bit.
Hey, okay, yeah, it does that.
Anyway,
Um,
what
okay,
do you want me to start with?
so
Brief history of the site?
yeah, I'm going to hand it straight over to you, man. Tell the kids at home a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Well, my name's Sean, and always been a music lover. That's one of my biggest passions, music. And when people say they have an eclectic taste, that is me. As a few people, I can be listening to Chinese classical music, or I can be listening to heavy metal. I can be listening to all sorts, indie rock, hip hop sometimes. Probably not modern R&B. It's probably one genre I will steer away from. But um, the thing is, the nights revolve around my website, artisticmovement.co.uk. Bizarrely, it was back in 2018 when I first came up with a domain name of GoDaddy, but that was not for music, that was for selling crystals. And I tried selling crystals for 5 years without not really that much luck because I didn't really know anything about crystals. But I still had GoDaddy, obviously, the sites were on there, and then it was, I think it was early last year because I set up the site early last year originally, and GoDaddy just sort of put out there, here's a random site, what do you want to do with it? It said choose your interest, and one of the interests was music, so I just chose music.
Yeah.
And then it laid out a whole template of how a music site could be. But then I thought, well, I don't really know any musicians at the moment. I knew a techno DJ from my hometown, an old friend of mine, so I put him on there. And then my wife had a friend from Ukraine who was doing EDM. He produced and made his own EDM like videos, and so it was only them two on there. Probably for about, this is early 23. That was
Yeah.
probably about 5 months. I just had them two on there, and in my mind, I still felt this is going places, you know. But it wasn't. I mean, the techno DJ wasn't that good, and obviously someone from Ukraine isn't easily going to come over to the England and play his music. And also around that sort of time, I was getting into groups like international groups like Spotify, like for like things like that,
Yeah.
and I was getting some connections that I thought were going to be good connections. But one of them turned out to be a complete fraud, and at the time I thought he was good in that, but it was a bit of a nut job, and it turned out that he weren't even singing his own songs.
Oh.
So then, from then, it fast forwards to October 23, and I'm thinking, what do I do now? So I got on Facebook and I looked for a few Sheffield music groups, like forums on groups, and I come along. Sheffield Musicians was the first group I joined, and at the time, my site was purely advertising, free promotion for any bands that want to get seen out there. So that's what I sort of put on the site. I said, "Oh, does any band want free promotion? You can join my site." And straight away, I got two offers. One of the bands is still on my site, the Jim Burt band, and then there was another guy who done cover songs. Can't even remember his name now because he's not even on the site. But I couldn't really do anything with him. So that was October 23. And my site was performing fairly well as far as the statistics were concerned. So I think you're going to fast forward then from October maybe to it's either late 23 or early 24. I sort of put out another advert in Sheffield Museum saying, "Look, I've got this site that's performing fairly well. Is there any bands out there that want to be on my site?" And there's a couple that wanted to be on it, but one particular band, Binky. So I got Binky and I put Binky on my site, and Binky had played at my first 2 gigs so far, and they're also going to be playing at the 3rd gig. They're sort of I don't know how they want to describe themselves, but they're sort of alternative indie rock sort of thing. They're quite of a gimmick band, but I like them. They're good. So I've got Binky on there, and then I'm just trying to think who else was up there. I don't know, but at some point I've got about 4 or 5 bands on there, and I'm still thinking, what am I doing? Because I advertise in these groups, and I'm thinking, here I am, a music promoter. Does any pub, does any club, does anyone want to use one of my artists? They're on my page, and I wasn't getting anywhere. So I think it was around March 2024, and just about a month before that, there was a band called Conscious Lingers. I don't know if you've heard of them. They're a Sheffield sort of local band, yeah. And that they were on my page. They contacted me, and I'd added them to my page. And then I saw that they're playing the Shakespeare. So I just messaged them. I said, "How did you get the Shakespeare gig?" And they said, "Oh, we just hired out the venue. It was quite cheap, £80." I thought, well, I could afford that. Because previous to that, Binky had the idea, why don't you try and hire out a venue and put all the bands on your site into your own venue sort of thing. And in my own mind, because I'm working on a shoestring budget here, in my own mind, I'm thinking, I can't afford that. I don't think I've got the capital to hire out a venue. But when I found out the Shakespeare was only £80, I thought, okay, I can afford that. I'll hire out the Shakespeare. So then I emailed the Shakespeare. They got back to me fairly quickly, and then I'm sort of emailing back and forth. And then I realised I had some annual leave in May, so I thought, I would have gone for May the 25th on the Saturday, but it was a birthday party. That's the reason I booked the annual leave. So I said, okay, I'll go for May the 24th. And then once that was set in place, that I had the day, I just put another advert out on either Sheffield Musicians or Sheffield Gigs, wanted, offered. And then as soon as you do that sort of advert, you're getting bombarded with bands that want to play. So I didn't have a vision of how many bands I'd get for my first gig, because really, in theory, you should only work for about 2 or 3 bands for one of your gigs. And it ended up, it would have been 8. It would have been 8 bands, and it would have started from 3 p.m. So a guy called Bry Ward, who's a very good musician, he had to drop out. So it ended up 7 bands. So it was kind of starting at 3 p.m. and this was at the Shakespeare, and that they don't provide a sound engineer, and they don't provide any like backline drum kit or the bass amps and things like that. And I'm learning this as I go along. I'm not a musician, so I'm learning all this terminology as I go along. I'm thinking, okay. And then the Shakespeare put me onto this guy that says he can provide all this equipment, but then apparently he was busy on that particular day. So once again, I've gone to Sheffield Musicians, and it was actually Binky that got me onto a sound engineer. Probably about a month before the gig, I'd got in contact with a sound engineer that sounded really promising. Then about 2 weeks before the gig in the Shakespeare, he pulled out. I was like, what am I going to do now? So once again, on Sheffield Musicians, is there any sound engineers out there? And then there was this guy, Chris Tiberius Harold. I don't know if you've heard of him, but he answered my advert, and he was reasonable rates. So luckily he came on board. And then I think it was Chris that suggested, oh, you can order your drum kit and bass line and that from Make Noise Studios, which is ironically, we're talking about a 2-minute walk from the Shakespeare. So then that was falling into place, and I was like, right, I've got to hire all this equipment, I've got to do this, I've got to do this. And then luckily Chris was there with his car to take the drum kit, to take the bass line, all the equipment we had to get to the Shakespeare. And then, a bit before that, so I'd lined up 7 bands. We'd had Binky headlining, No Setting Sun, Ward pulled out, so we had VIP Suite, we had Osprey, we had Bombski, We had them Screaming Teeth, which luckily opened for me, and then trying to think. Oh yeah, and then Neil Bailey, who's a solo guitarist. He's sort of Pink Floyd influenced. A very good solo guitarist. And I'd met Neil as well. Neil had sort of connected me maybe a couple of months before that. Neil had seen my site on the Sheffield Musicians, connected with me, wanted a gig, so I asked him, and he said, "Yeah, I'll go for it." So we're talking all these different genres. We're talking heavy metal, we're talking indie rock, we're talking Pink Floyd solo guitarist. And I'm thinking, is this going to work? You know? And but then somehow when I ordered the tickets, I just thought, what am I going to call this? So I called it the Mashup Day, and and then so that's sort of how it's evolving. And then so I've got Chris, the sound engineer. He's helping me with the equipment. I've got all the bands in place, and then but this is my first gig, so I'm nervous as hell. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing here. I was like really, really nervous. So I get to the Shakespeare just before they open. I think I've had a couple of drinks maybe even before I joined the midday opening at Shakespeare. So I go in there, and I've already had contact with Sean from Then Screaming Teeth, and they were opening. So I was like, he was going to be the first person I met. And luckily, Sean and Mike got on really well, so that was a plus. But the drinking did continue. and then I met Chris, the sound engineer, and it was all going fairly smoothly. And you know, I was sort of upstairs in the room where the gig was. I think by the end of it, Them Screaming Teeth maybe played. They sort of started just before 5. And before that, I was trying to sell tickets by giving a lot of the bands tickets to see if they could sell them to their friends and stuff. So I didn't sell too many, but there was still a certain amount. You know, there was a decent crowd in there, enough bands to be appreciated. So yeah, so then it sort of started around 4:30, 5 o'clock when Them Screaming Teeth opened for me. And to begin with, I've got some tickets on me, and I'm trying to sell them around the bar, but no one's really wanted to buy them. They've all got reasons that they're either leaving soon or they're going to another pub or whatever. So I'm not really selling many tickets. I did actually sell 2 tickets, and the only 2 tickets I sold, I don't even think they went up to the gig that night for some reason. But yeah, I mean, them Screaming Teeth, I gave them 10 tickets, and I think they got pretty much shifted all 10 of them. So that was really good of them, and I was glad they opened for me. But once again, it was called the Mashup Day, and I think I just had a little bit too much to drink. Oh, the band I didn't mention actually, VIP Street. Sorry, we had VIP Street there as well. I don't know if you've heard of them. Yeah, they were playing for me, so they came down. So that's the 7 acts we had on. It was a good night, you know. I mean, at least I got to see most of the bands play, even though maybe the ticket selling wasn't. But this was my first gig, so I mean, you can't expect to like sell out your first gig, can you? So this is this is the first, so this is how things evolved with the Mashup Day.
Yeah, I mean, and then it didn't put you off.
No, it didn't. But I didn't feel too good the day after. I was meant to have a birthday party. My wife's niece, cousin, sorry, I think she was. And I tried going to that and had to leave quite early because I don't know how much beer I consumed that day, but I mean, surely I must have made enough money for that bar to compensate for the 50 capacity that should have been for the fans that night. And even Sean from Them Screaming Teeth, he told me he drank quite a lot, and you know, because I'd already hired the drum kit and the bass line and everything there, all he had to bring was a guitar, so he wanted to have a few drinks anyway, so he was drinking.
Yeah.
There was quite a few other the band members drinking. And that was how my first gig sort of all came about. It was kind of a bit of luck, a bit of chance.
Yeah.
And yeah, like when you face the obstacles, like the sound engineer that you thought was going to go with you, pulls out 2 weeks before, and then you manage to get one in there on an advert, because Sheffield Musicians quite pretty good. Whenever you write something on there, you usually get quite a good response for what you need.
There's to be fair, like with the local scene, there's plenty of people around.
Yeah,
right?
there is.
Like plenty. We're not short of people who know what they're doing. It's just finding the right ones, the ones that will work with you. That aren't just in it for themselves. That aren't just, well, how much can you pay me? And a lot of the times when someone does commit and then bails on you, it's usually just because they've got a better offer.
Probably
got a better pay gig, instead of just being like, no, I'm already booked that day.
Yeah.
More often than not, they've got a better offer, which is like, it's understandable, but it's a bit shit at the same time.
It is.
It's a little bit shitty.
But I mean, there's so many bands out there as well, Sheffield Bass, or even, I mean, VIP Suite, they're from Teesside, but they're still working the Sheffield scene. I mean, they do gigs, I reckon, 2 or 3 a week. They've been doing gigs for months now, and they do loads of gigs, VIP Suite. And we had them on, I think, third from last or something. They played in the end.
So you think going forward, the few events you've put on so far, but going forward, have you started to think about making the gigs a little more uniform, like bands roughly within the same genre, like you said, the usual sort of 2 or 3 bands?
Yeah, I did.
Not the whole like all day situation.
My second gig was going to be that. Somehow on Instagram, I connected way before even the Mashup Day was conceived. I connected with a band from Scotland called Dubinsky somehow. We'd messaged each other, and they said, "Do you want to listen to our latest song?" And I said, "Yeah." And we just got chatting for a bit, and then it was around the time that I was booking the Shakespeare that I was asking Binky, "Do you want to play?" And they said, at the moment, Hallamshire Hotel are also offering their live room for free. Well, they were during the week, but I think at the weekends they were still charging. So I said, okay. And so I emailed Hallamshire Hotel, and this is the same time that I'm trying to organise the Mashup Day, and then Hallamshire Hotel are also getting back to me. Something, and who should I put on? And then I thought it was Dubinsky. They had quite a big following, so I messaged Dubinsky, and they were getting back to me and said, you got to speak to our management. So I got in contact with Dubinsky management. They're quite happy, and I think what happened there was we put the ticket price too high, and I don't know. I mean, I don't know how big Dubinsky are, but as far as Sheffield's concerned, if anyone had heard of them, but the management had their online ticket sales, and I was thinking, I wonder how much they're selling, and they didn't sell that too many. So, and also with the Dubinsky gig, I had an artist. I don't know if you heard of Isaac Nelson.
Seen the name around.
Yeah, he was going to open for me, but I wasn't having much communication with him. But I still kept on him, and I'd ordered tickets, I'd ordered flyers now, and the first lot of flyers I ordered, no one noticed until the last minute that it said Friday, the 29th of June, but it was actually on a Saturday, 29th of June. So I flied all around Sheffield for the wrong bloody day. So, like, we're talking probably about 3 weeks we've realised this mistake, that I've been flying for a Friday when it was on Saturday 29th, and I don't know why no one seemed to notice this, and still some random person said on one of my Facebook adverts, "Is that Friday the 20th? Do you mean Friday or do you mean Saturday 29th?" And I think that was soon after that. Isaac Nelson did get in contact with me. He said, "I've got to pull out. I don't know, something about his drummer was sick or whatever it was." Yeah. So I've got about 2 or 3 weeks. So I've got to find a support act, reorder new flyers, reorder new tickets. This is for the Hallamshire Hotel gig, and yeah. So I did recruit another support act, opening act, Kid Nowhere, and I've got them 3 now: Dubinsky, Binky, main support, and then Kid Nowhere. So I've got a big poster up. I had a big poster up in the Hallamshire Hotel like bar area with Dubinsky and their artwork and supporting Binky and Kid Nowhere. And I thought, this is it. Things are going to go places. and those away.
Ah.
My wife wants to watch the interview. So yeah, so I mean, the mashup day evolved with me getting more mashed up than I should have. I did have quite a bit of beer that night, and at first it was nerves. You know, this was my first gig. I weren't sure how things were going to pan out, and I think if it wasn't for the sound engineer Chris, it wouldn't have gone as smoothly as it could have. I mean, he was perfect. He would have been timing the bands. He'd have been doing all the sound checks of every band that was coming on, and I mean, without him, I don't think it would have went as smooth as it did as far as the bands playing and being on time and all the rest of it. Because I was in a bit of a state that day. I drank quite a bit too much. But then when we fast forward to the second gig, I'd heard from Dubinsky management about a few days before the gig. And when he told me only 9 tickets are sold, and bearing in mind my wife had bought 4 of them tickets for when it first started, the online ticket sales, I'm thinking, oh, this is terrible. But I'm still thinking Dubinsky going to turn up. And then I was working on the day of the gig in the morning, and it was about 10 o'clock in the morning. Dubinsky said, oh, our drum's got COVID, we can't make it tonight. What's going on here? It's just one thing after another. So I've just messaged Binky and Kid No, and I've said, look, Dubinsky pulled out, do you still want to play? Binky can headline, and you can do a longer set to Kid Nowhere. And we still want to play, so that's fine. So that gig, I think it went a little bit better than Mashup Day. It still weren't full capacity, but there was a little bit more people there, and I liked the Hannam Hotel, the layout of the room, and the actual ticket sale booth is a lot better than Shakespeare, because Shakespeare there wasn't anywhere really I could have sat with trying to sell the tickets at the door anyway.
Yeah.
Whereas Hannam Hotel has its own little ticket booth, so I sat in there and sold a few tickets, plus Binky and Get Nowhere had already sold a few tickets to their friends and stuff. So there's quite a few people in there. Still wasn't a full capacity because it's 100 capacity in the Hannam Hotel. And then, yeah, that one, I'd say that's relatively successful, apart from not being full capacity. There was no real problems. The bands went down well, and they played pretty well that night. And also, another thing with the Hannam Hotel, they provide their own sound engineer. Oh. So for the price, it's a lot cheaper than was at the Shakespeare, because they've got their own drum kit, they had their own bass line. So they had all the equipment, and they had a sound engineer, and they even had a bucket full of beer, which I didn't know about, which was quite convenient as well. So that was one thing.
Yeah, that'll keep the bands happy. So when you're looking for acts, just to fill up your portfolio, obviously to put on, do you look for, you're looking for acts that you personally, genuinely, you listen to them, you like them, kind of like you'd go to that gig, or definitely. Do you look for the bands where you think they'd sell, they do well, they'd be successful for me, like a bit more business or personal?
A bit of both, but to be honest, all the music I listened to, all the bands that went to my gigs, before one of my gigs, I did like them, because I do listen to a lot of different genres.
Yeah.
So yeah, fair enough. Dubinsky had quite a big following on Spotify, and they'd been around for a while, and they were quite a big band in relative terms for the venues that I was putting on, and they're a bit of sort of indie pop. I describe it for Dubinsky, but I like their music. But when I was organising the Mashup Day, I put the advert out there and showed musicians, but I also had already attracted bands like them, Screaming Teeth, and No Setting Sun to my site. So I was emailing them, and I sort of sent out quite a lot of invites, had people messaging me from the show for musicians, and then ended up that I was getting too many bands for what I could put on. I know you interviewed someone for Free of Swords. I see that on your story the other day.
Yeah.
And they messaged me, but they were a bit too late to message me, so I said, sorry, the set list is full now. But I think next year I'm going to plan like just a stoner psyche rock, as they called it, I believe, like them Screaming Teeth, Osprey, and Free of Swords. Because I like that sort of music, but this one coming, I've got this. My final gig of the year now is in November the 2nd, and I've somehow connected with a band called River Drive, and they've got quite a following on Spotify, and they seem to be doing quite well. So they agreed to do the Halifax Hotel headline for me on the 2nd of November, and then Binky, that I've sort of kept under the belt, they're going to be main support that night, and then I'd also put the advert out once again on Sheffield Musicians, and I've connected with a young group, a college group from Nottingham, and they'll be opening up for me. They're called Cherry Stone, so they're pretty good. So it's just a question of ticket sales for that one again now, and I think I'm going to flyer it again. I think I'm going to order some flyers and put some flyers out like I did with the gig, and just see how things go really, and see if the bands can sell any tickets as well.
Yeah. I mean, it's always been a tough one. It costs money to put on the shows.
Yeah.
One way or another, it will. You do what you can, whether it's getting friends in to help you out, or whether venues just have really good offers. Maybe the venue's free, maybe the venue charges, but the venue is providing sound engineers, backline, things like that. And if you certainly, from the promoter side of things, if you're also hoping, it would be nice to maybe pay the artists as well, because we love that. Well, not me anymore. I don't do that, but when I used to, it's always nice. So there is that outgoing, and obviously you'd like to make that back. And tickets is a straightforward, simple, most basic way to try and get a bit back. But it's also one of the main factors that can often put off. The public, when you've got original bands on and they're still trying to build that following, and that you could put on that covers band and fill the place. You can put on 3, 4, 7 absolutely phenomenal acts, with the up there naked, raw, exposed their very soul, with the blood, sweat, and tears writing their own tracks, and sell 9.
Yeah. But these musicians that I met around the time Mashup Day, they've all got quite a few gigs going on. Bright Ward, unfortunately couldn't make it that day. He's got quite a few gigs coming up. Bromsky, I see him about, because if I see a band usually that I've associated with in the past, I'll just share it to my Facebook page. Because I can see all these bands still getting gigs. So obviously somehow they're still either getting them individually as a band contacting a venue, or somehow their venues contacted them. So it's nice to see them doing well. But after this November gig, I'm going to try something early next year and just look back in some of the bands I already know. I don't think I'm going to try and look for any new bands just yet. I'd rather see my loyalty lie with bands I previously allowed to perform for my events like.
It's good. It is always an adventure. So if you quite early on find people you've enjoyed working with and feel you can trust, they do the work. They make the effort. They're on time. They have everything they've been asked to bring, and all of that. To double down on that, to stick with that at least for a little while. That sounds like a plan. Yeah.
So it's all about making connections, really, because I've only lived in Sheffield just over 2 years now. I did actually go to university here, but I graduated in 1999, so I took sort of like a 22-year gap year before I moved back here. So, and it's changed a lot. And
you got out. Why would you come back?
Yeah. No, Sheffield's a lovely city.
Well, it'll be nice when it's finished.
Yeah, there's a lot of redevelopment.
Scaffolding and roadworks.
Yeah, there's a lot of
Bit of a
redevelopment, but it's gradually getting there, and it's. I think it's the city of the future, and I think the music scene is going to explode, and there's so many different venues out there that at some point I know I'm going to be able to put some musicians in.
Yeah, it could. The music scene never
Yeah,
dies. It's always absolutely thriving, and yeah, at some point it will be. I don't know how these things happen, but at some point the Sheffield scene will be the scene that's on
yeah,
trend. That
definitely.
there'll be a whole bunch of, but there'll always be a very eclectic range of bands. But at some point there'll be a handful of really good bands that are kind of sort of rocking a similar sort of vibe,
Yeah,
and that'll be the kind of vibe that, for whatever reason, the whole nation seems to have taken to. Like we had the Manchester scene in like sort of the early '90s and whatever. At some point, it'll be Sheffield's time again. They'll
yeah.
the next Pulp, the next Def Leppard, the next Human League.
I think
It's been a while. It's been a while. Maybe Bring Me the Horizon might be the last guys to really succeed, but it'll come again.
yeah. There's a lot of great venues out there. I mean, some of them are a bit more expensive to hire than others, and I haven't. I mean, in the Record Junkie and places like that and Network, I'm thinking it'd be good to try and get a slot there, but I'm not sure how much they charge. So I know they're all available to hire. I did inquire about Sydney and Matilda, and I got an email back almost straight away. But their hiring process was far more complicated and detailed than it was when I booked the Shakespeare and Hannams Hotel, and it was like they're charging for all sorts of things, just including the room hire. And I've never been to Sydney and Matilda, so I didn't realise they had so many different rooms. So I think I'll give that one a little look at maybe in a year or so. Yeah.
So let's so with the business somewhat out of the way, let's get to know. I mean, it's all the same because you are the business.
Yeah.
But I was going to say, let's get to know you a little bit better, personally. So, what are the I know you said you got very eclectic taste, which is great. I don't know how anybody doesn't. Like music's very, like, for me anyway. I think it's very sort of mood dependent, mood related kind of a thing. And like I said, I like the heavy metal, the punk rock, but I'm just not that angry all the time. Sometimes sometimes I do want to listen to something completely different to that. So, but what were the bands? Okay, what were the bands from your youth?
From my youth,
Yeah.
I grew up in the '90s.
What were your teenage kicks?
I grew up in the '90s, so coming of age, it was obviously Oasis and Blur and Pulp. Those obviously three classic Britpop bands were there. Just trying to think who else was on the scene, because we're talking early '90s now. And I mean, I was born in '78, so my first record, well, the first song I ever bought was still on vinyl. That's still when vinyl was about how old I am. And I think it was the Frog song by Paul McCartney. I remember. But then that vinyl, then suddenly vinyl was gone, and then it was tapes. So I don't think it was my first tape, but I do remember having tapes and at an early age getting into Björk.
Oh, yeah.
So at the age of maybe 14, 15, I was buying Björk's first album, and the first live act I ever went to was Cranberries at Wembley Arena. I was 16 years old, so I went with my mum to see Cranberries, and that was when they were just making it big. The Cranberries were. I think they'd gone to their first or second album this time, and I thought they were phenomenal, and I'm glad that was my first gig with the Cranberries. I still think they're a very good band, and it's a shame that it's a shame that the lead singer's now passed away.
Yeah, I miss that voice.
But yeah, and then for whatever reason, maybe I didn't have any friends that were into Björk, but I did actually go. She was also playing at Wembley Arena. Actually, I went down to see Björk on my own, and this was the time when she was dating Goldie. If you remember Goldie, the journalist. So Goldie played a set, and then Björk come on to sing. That was probably maybe one of my second or third gigs that I'd ever been to. And then festival-wise, don't know what it was called, but I think it was also 96, 97, or maybe a bit earlier than that when I was still at upper school. It was near Birmingham. I can't remember the name of the festival, but Björk was also there. I remember Skunk and Nancy were there. Yeah,
love that band.
They were playing. So were Cypress Hill. So that was my first festival. And then I know I went to V98. So V98 was my second festival, I think, that I went to. I went to V98, and at that time the Charlatans were really big, so the Charlatans were there.
Yeah.
It was the Verve were headlining, so the Verve were playing. And at that time, I think it was just before the Verve split up for the first time when they played in 1998. And then you had the Stereophonics there, which I saw for the first time. I was getting into Stereophonics. Space. I don't know if you remember Space.
Oh yeah.
They weren't too good live, but I did like the music. But live, they weren't that good. And I think I remember Republica were there, which were obviously a sort of a band around that time.
Yeah.
So that was sort of the 90s, you know. In 98, we're talking all the 90s bands. And then, just trying to think when I would have went next for my next festival. I can't remember. Oh, well, I'm a big Radiohead fan. So it was VO6 that Radiohead were headlining. And I went with an ex-girlfriend. And just like the mashup day, the alcohol got the better of me that day. So by the time Radiohead come on, I was quite past it. So I don't remember them play that much at all, which is a shame.
Yeah, they're a band I keep missing.
Yeah.
Never done it, never seen them, and always meant to.
Well, yeah.
Okay. What's the band? What's the band you've seen live that really surprised you? Like maybe you weren't too bothered. You know, you'd heard them, you're aware of them, but it's like whatever. And then you saw them live, and it just changed everything.
I can't think really as far as being unexpectedly good, because most bands I've gone to see, I knew their music, so I was because I saw Oasis also just before they split up in 2009. I saw them at Wembley Stadium, and they done really well. I think the only song they didn't perform well even back in then, was Slide Away for some reason. Maybe actually because I wasn't really aware of them too much, but when I went to V98, Green Day were very good, and they sort of blew me away. And V98 was also, I think I'd heard of them before, but James played a good set, so I was really enjoying watching James live and watching Green Day.
Yeah.
And
James are good because they're one of those bands that has like a really loyal hardcore following.
Yeah.
So that there'll always be like a really good atmosphere. Like however you're walking into it, you know a few of the hit singles, but you're not that familiar or whatever.
Yeah.
But you can easily get carried away on that wave of having a good time if you go anywhere near that big wedge of people that are the huge James fans, and that translates well. So it's always nice.
Yeah, because I really like James, and I probably heard of him. I think probably would have heard "Sit Down" before I went to see him. But I mean, they've got so many good tunes, and I think when I was at the University of Sheffield, I'd go to indie nights, and a lot of James songs were being played. And I mean, I like most of their tunes.
Yeah.
But yeah,
So like, yeah, a few of these bands, James, recently, I don't know if it's necessarily a comeback because I'm not sure how much they've really been away. But I've started, seeing their name, seeing the tour date, seeing them a lot more, coming across my radar than I have done for a few years.
Yeah.
Oasis apparently are
From a couple of days ago,
back
yeah.
together. But like, I don't know, as part of the punk rocker in me, I'm never super happy to see that. Like, I'm of the belief, like, what does it say about the current
Yeah.
rocker bands or the music? Like the new bands should just the old bands shouldn't get a look in because we
Yeah.
should have just moved on.
Yeah.
Like even as like I try not to be a miserable old git, and everything was better in my day, and I try and
Yeah.
still listen to new, but especially musically, I like to listen to new bands, new artists. Um, so like even as the old guy, and I have all the nostalgia vibes, and I get it, but I was
Yeah.
there, I've been there, done that, bought the
Yeah.
t-shirt literally.
No, it's true.
So I'm
Yeah.
happy to get into to support these kids, these new young up and coming artists, and there shouldn't really be a place, But the Rolling Stones are still there, and
Somehow in
and
the
now and
80s.
Oasis are
Yeah.
back, and that'll open the floodgates. Like I said, before you know it, the Stone Roses will get back together, and the Charlatans will be back on the scene supporting,
Yeah.
and everything else. There's constant rumours about Pulp, although I believe that when I see it because I think
Yeah.
that's a tricky situation.
Well, I
But
think the Charlatans did come back. I think the Charlatans are back on the
yeah,
scene. Also, what was the band you just mentioned? I've seen them. You mentioned Charlatans, you mentioned someone else. Can't remember. Sorry, mine's gone blank.
yeah.
Um,
But it'll probably open the floodgates for a whole lot that may not have really been away, but they've certainly
yeah.
not had any spotlight for some time. And now all of a sudden, any of these bands that are still hanging in there, thanks to this Oasis thing, will probably, promoters and venues left, right, and centre will be like, okay, if people that's going to set the ball rolling, and it's going to be like, okay, maybe you can't afford the Oasis tickets, but you can come to the Shed 7 gig,
Yeah. I
and
think,
bands like that will probably get a bit of
yeah,
a
I
few
like
extra
Shed
paydays on the back
7.
of
I
these.
think Shed 7 have made a comeback as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if a lot of them do it for the money, but the Pixies did actually admit they came back onto the scene because they needed the money. And the Pixies were a great band. I think. Oh no, sorry, it was the Stone Roses. So I saw them in Tea in the Park 2016. So they did perform then, and they played a pretty good set actually. As Stone Roses back then in 2016, and Red Hot Chili Peppers also headlined. So I got to see them at Tea in the Park.
Another one. There was a time that band could do no wrong
Yeah,
for me. I really feel like they need to stop now. Personal opinion. But yeah, there was a time I absolutely adored the Chili's. I'm
yeah,
still a huge fan of Frusciante's guitar work, but
yeah,
I think the band's output in general, for a while now, has been a bit bland.
yeah. They're all getting on a bit now and then. The vocal cords can't quite stretch it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I just felt like there's a point where I'm running out of times. I don't know how many more times I'm going to be able to get that, like, I've never heard anything like this,
no,
feeling. And I love that feeling. The part of sometimes when you see like, oh, it's this album's 20th anniversary, 30th anniversary, or a band's, people say, oh, doesn't it make you feel old? And I'm like, no, it just means I had incredibly good taste from a very young
no.
age.
Of course, definitely.
But what sort of does make me feel old is listening to the new stuff and just constantly feeling like I've heard it. Like, even though it's new, I'm still somewhat overly familiar with it.
Yeah,
That I don't get that same like, oh, new band.
yeah.
Does it have that
No,
new band smell that the bands that
I
Oasis
think of a lot of bands, their early music is always going to be better than anything they can release later on in their career. I mean, Oasis, the first two albums were amazing, the third one weren't too bad, but then they kind of slid down, and they weren't producing much decent music, and then I mean, I think the reunion is. I didn't think Liam Gallagher's solo career was going anywhere fast. I mean, I didn't really rate much of his solo material, and no, Gallagher was okay, but still wasn't quite there. So I think they were offered quite a lot of money to reunite. So I think that's probably what brought them back into the limelight. That suddenly Liam and Noel got talking again because of I don't know how many millions they've got offered for this tour, but you can imagine the ticket price is going to be quite expensive.
Yeah, it might be a little bit more than a fiver on the door, I think.
Probably. But there's a lot of there's like thousands of acts now. There's like so many acts you might not have even heard of them, but like I don't know if you've heard of Current Joys, but I listened to some of his stuff. I think he's an American lad, and he's got some good music. And then I'm sort of into like psychedelic. I'm not even sure what the genre would be called, but I'd refer to it as maybe psychedelic rock or psychedelic indie. Like it's kind of like there's a song called "The Trip" by Steel Corners. I don't know if you've heard that one, but
no, but
I mean, I just go on YouTube, I go on Spotify, and I go to playlists, and I hear this music. I don't know if I actually mentioned when it comes to new bands as well. Really into the Fontaines at the moment, Fontaines DC,
all right.
and I think you must have heard of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're making waves at the moment. I really am into the Fontaines. And then I was listening to a bit of Sticky Fingers before that on my repeat on Spotify. And I think that they're a pretty cool band. I think they're an Australian band, aren't they?
Yeah.
But you're just so many bands out there. Some are doing better than others, and some are quite big. And then it's just like, what are you going to listen to, and how do you discover their music? I mean, I have Spotify, and I find most of my music through Spotify playlists. And if I like a tune, I'm going to listen to it a lot of times, and it goes onto my repeat list. So I listen to it more and more.
It's good. So it's about that time of the evening. I've done this for everybody else, so this episode will be no different. We're going to play a little bit of this or that.
This or that, right?
Yeah, this or that, just for shits and or giggles. Because no prizes, no wrong answers. Cats or dogs?
Cats or dogs? Cats.
Yeah. Oh,
all the way. Cats.
Cats. Just check
Definitely.
for the thumbs.
Yeah, just checking.
Yeah, they're not the easiest creature to pick up, but if you see a cat, try and pick it up. Check for the thumbs. Cats get thumbs. We're all screwed. We're watching you, cats.
I've always been a cat man.
Beer or wine?
That depends. It's hard to say. I'll drink either. I mean, down a pub, I'll drink more beer than I would wine, but at home, probably 50-50.
Pizza or kebab?
Pizza or kebab? Doner kebab, probably.
Yeah.
But I do like pizza, but maybe doner kebab.
Why not? Okay. Would you rather go skydiving or scuba diving?
Probably scuba diving, but I've already done that once.
Yeah?
5 meters depth, but I've done it. Done in Tenerife on my 20th birthday.
Yeah? Oh, sweet. Okay. Country retreat or city living?
Maybe country retreat, definitely.
Everybody is. Everybody is. We all are. We know we are. Because, yeah, we'll turn the country into the city because that's where we'll all be. What else have we got? What else have we got? What have we got? Oh, do you consider yourself a leader or a follower?
I thought it's hard to say. I don't think I'm neither, really. I'm sort of in between.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't.
It's a bit of a shitty question, really.
Yeah, it's hard to say.
People don't want to have the ego to be I am a leader, but nobody really wants to be a follower. But so it's a bit of a loaded question. Just see what people say. Okay, big parties or small gatherings?
Small gatherings, I reckon.
Yeah,
That's what I'm
quality
used
over
to.
quantity.
That's what I have in my back garden.
Now, would you rather have money or free time?
Free time, probably. Not really motivated by money. As
Yeah,
long as I've got enough to buy, that's fine for
yeah, I know
me.
what you mean. I know exactly what you mean. It means a lot more to me. There's it's like at work and they offer me overtime and it's like you never offer me a day off.
Yeah,
Like it's actually worth more to me. I mean, don't pay me because I've not done any work. Like actually offer me the opposite.
yeah.
Instead of expecting me to come in at the weekend, tell me to bugger off on Friday. Tell me on Thursday,
Yeah.
hey, do you want to not come in tomorrow? Save us a few quid. Yeah, fuck it. Yeah, I'll stay at home. Like it'd be worth more to me. I mean, not all the time. I've got, bills like everybody else, but every so often, I'll take one for the team. I'll save the company a few quid. I'll stay at home every now and then. It'd be nice.
So what do you do
Um,
for work then, Jimmy?
sorry.
What do you do for work?
Oh, just factory bullshit. I, I,
Oh,
I, I break my back to earn money for somebody who's never even seen the product. Uh, let's not get too political. Okay. Would you rather see a puppet show or a magic show?
magic show, I reckon.
Yeah.
Think a magic show, yeah, rather than a puppet show.
So, do you like the close-up magic, misdirection, card trick, cup and ball shit, or
Um,
do you want to see the Empire State Building disappear?
like Dynamo or David Blaine, things like that. When it comes to
Yeah.
magic,
You know,
that sort of
I know. Look,
illusions.
now David Blaine kind of like he was like the big thing for a while, and then everybody decided he was insane and kind of went completely off him. But I remember seeing. I don't know if it's like a bootleg or if it was official, but I remember seeing a. We used to get our pirate movies
Yeah,
off the window cleaner
yes,
back in the day, and at some point it just gave us like an extra. There's an extra VHS because I'm that old.
yes.
I am
I'm a
also
VHS.
VHS
I'm
years
a
old.
VHS.
Yeah, kids, for any kids watching VHS, it was like Netflix, only it only had one film on it,
Yeah,
basically, and that was it. But it
yeah,
was on demand whenever you wanted. I mean, you had to maybe wait 30 seconds for it to rewind, but other than that, pretty much on demand. But there's just only the one. Anyway, yeah, we were watching this David Blaine thing. It's like the street magic stuff, and we were absolutely mesmerized. But what it was almost like it was less like the the trick. It was more like people's reactions to some of the
yeah,
stuff he did, where you were thinking, like, if these are all like plants, to
yeah,
make him look good, which because it's a thing. Let's be honest, some magicians do that, especially if you're making a home video.
yeah,
That'd be an easy thing to do. Pretend you're walking down the street and accosting random people, and somehow you know the name they've chosen for their unborn child.
yeah,
Shit like that. But you watch these people, and some of the women like scream and run away in distress at just holy fuck, how did he know that? And you think if they're plants, they're like some of the best actors and actresses in the world. They should be Hollywood stars. These
yeah.
are Oscar-winning performances. If this shit isn't real, you know.
I mean, a lot of it is unbelievable what you think when you look at his tricks and what he does, and you think, well, how's that possible? And you think, well, maybe they are plants, because some of it,
It
some of the
seems,
stuff that does seem impossible.
yeah. It seems too good. It did the one where it kind of it did some sort of like card trick, jiggery pokery, that ended up with like he's got the deck of cards and they're picking a card or whatever and taking it, writing on it, shit like that, and then he like sets fire to the cards. So there's no cards, but then like their card that they picked was in that card that was parked over there, on the inside of the
Yeah.
window. Like, how'd you do that if it's legit? But
No, it doesn't seem legit, does it?
well, it's definitely impressive if it's.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Well,
I'd love to see that shit, with my own eyes.
he lived in a box, didn't he, above the Thames or something for God knows how many days.
So, what else we got? Okay, would you rather be a vampire or a werewolf?
Probably a vampire.
Everybody says vampire. Everybody
Yes.
says vampire.
Easier, isn't it?
Don't know why people have problems with being a hairy mammal. It's fine.
I don't know. I'm just used to watching vampire shows on TV, so I seem to
Yeah,
relate to them. Although
the vampires
a lot
are
of these shows have werewolves and vampires, so
yeah, they're always the cooler, sexier ones, aren't they? So,
yeah, the
which,
originals
which,
is good.
which, which is why I probably can't relate to them, and I think the whole immortality thing would probably drive me nuts. I don't think I have the mental capacity to actually deal with that.
No, that'd probably be
Between
quite
like
bad.
I like to get to know people, I like to meet people, and then I get attached to them, and then they die. Even if they
Yeah,
live long lives, it's like 100 years. It's nothing to me, and they're all gone. And then I've got to grieve, and I've got to go through process all that, and then okay, there'll be another one. There'll be a whole other generation of people to meet, yes, but like to keep constantly cycling that like grief, joy, grief,
yeah.
joy process, I think I would be like, stake me, stake me
Yeah.
now,
I have to suck blood every 12 days or something.
But okay, uh, polka dots or stripes?
Well,
Mm,
probably stripes.
stripes.
I think it would be stripes for that one.
Yeah. What else we got? Oh, the controversial ones: Star Trek or Star Wars?
Star Wars.
Star Wars
That's what I'm
is
used
the right
to.
answer.
Just what I grew up more with Star Wars. I'm not saying Star Trek's that bad. I was getting
Oh,
into some of the new Star Trek stuff, but I grew up Star Wars. I've always been a big Star Wars fan.
yeah. So Star Wars definitely has the better soundtrack.
Yeah,
Definitely. We're keeping it
definitely.
somewhat music
So,
with it.
and it's good that Disney bought them out now and bringing out all the new films.
Oh,
Definitely keep
absolutely.
it going.
So, have you ever seen a UFO?
No, I've never seen a UFO. Have you?
Not really.
No,
No.
I don't think
I mean,
I
I
have.
mean, yeah, I mean, literally, an object that's flying and I can't identify it. I
Yeah,
mean, I've seen shit and I don't know what it is. So in that sense, yeah. But in the sense that I assume it's probably like a satellite,
yeah,
or I haven't seen anything that's maybe just go, that's something extraordinary. Something when people see things that are really irregular shapes. I've had stories, people have told me they've seen things that have moved in really, irregular
yeah,
ways.
yeah,
A satellite, an aeroplane, a bird, or whatever that might be up
yeah.
there doesn't move like that, doesn't move that fast and then just stop still and then bugger off in a completely other direction and things like that. Never been lucky enough to see anything like that, but
I
I've
think
seen a few
a lot of people
lights
in
and
America
stuff
see
here and
them.
there.
A lot of people in America see the UFOs.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's a big universe out there, So I mean,
I watch a lot of Brian Cox, so he's a
yeah,
very good professor, and I think there is there's life form out there, but whether it's complex as human beings, I don't know. But he explains how there's probably a billion Earth-like planets within either our solar system, our galaxy, but in the universe, we're talking a billion like Earth planets that could potentially have the single cell organisms, but whether or not they've evolved into what happened on Earth, we don't know. And there's so many billion of light years away. It's like how are we ever going to find
yeah.
out?
I mean that shit's fascinating,
Yeah,
but at the same time, there's so much right here that we still don't understand and don't know about. We know more about space than we do about the oceans.
That's true.
We know more what's up there than what's fucking down there, which is insane. Because we've spent billions on rockets and probes and satellites to go up there, but very little on rockets and probes and things that could withstand the pressure of going down under the ocean. Because I want to know if there's a Kraken down there or something. I want to. Let's get some real messy photos.
Yeah, I mean, how far they've gone now? They are discovering some very weird creatures down to how many thousand feet they've gone to now, and things that are surviving down there, and they're like alien-like creatures that they have discovered. Now they're going further into the deep sea. But
and it
could be anything down there.
It connects the two. As we do look down, when you find that there is life that can survive in those extreme conditions, the deeper we go, that just lets you know that some of these other planets with these various extreme conditions where we as human beings could not survive, but life could possibly even survive on those uninhabitable planets. Because we keep finding more and more life in areas right here on this planet that we previously considered uninhabitable. Like I say, it may not be the complex, intelligent life of us, but nonetheless, it's life. It's organic, sentient life.
Yeah, I think it's only liquid water is the only necessity of life. So
certainly seems to play a huge key role in it, doesn't it? Anyway.
Yeah, definitely.
But so, have you ever seen a ghost? Take the other tack.
I don't know if I've ever seen a ghost. I'm not sure. Never seen one. No, never seen one in real life. But I know there's more to this world than people might see. I do believe in alternative dimensions and reincarnations and all that sort of thing. I don't belong to any part of religion, but I do have a belief in God. I do think that there's more to this world than it seems, and I think right now we're the issues that are going on in this world. It's hard to take in everything that's going on right now. But then, has that been any different? I mean, with the Russian-Ukraine war, Russia invaded Ukraine back in 2015, and the Israel-Gaza conflict, Israel-Palestinian conflict. That's been going on since they took the land back in the late 40s or whenever it was. So you're trying to sort of home in on the news now, and you're thinking, right, this is the end of Wales. This is Russia are going to fly nukes or whatever like that. But I don't think they will. I think there's always been these issues, and I don't think it's capable of any leader that's going to actually drop a nuke. Anything like that. I try and steer clear of the news and try and focus on something more positive, and
yeah, I know exactly what you mean. You don't want to, bury your head in the sand and try and pretend it's not happening. These are these very important world events. Everybody should have some level of awareness and empathy, and try and find some kind of understanding to these things. But yeah, we definitely need art, music, more than ever, both to help us understand these things and to, frankly, distract us, if only for the 3 minutes of a cracking tune, or the couple of hours of a great movie. We need it. You need to just reset once in a while. There's no shame in that.
No, that's true. That is true.
So, speaking of which, do you get time for much in the way of movies and TV?
Well, I don't watch regular terrestrial TV, but the wife and I will watch Netflix, Amazon Prime. Just finished Inventing Anna. I don't know if you've seen that show yet.
Oh, it's I've recently
Based,
put it on my list.
yeah, it's based on a true story, so that show's pretty good. Big one for us. We haven't quite finished yet, but Yellowstone on Amazon
Oh yeah.
Prime, Paramount, yeah. So we watch a lot of Korean dramas, Korean shows. They're fairly good.
Oh man, I've been a huge supporter of sort of Asian cinema
Yeah,
for a long time,
yeah,
and now everybody's crazy about Korean dramas, but rightly so. They're really good at that
yeah,
shit. You can take a like, I don't know how they do it. I don't know what the secret sauce is that they do, because you can give me a Korean drama with a synopsis, and I would not watch it. You know, based on that synopsis, it's not. It doesn't sound like something that's up my street. But tell me it's Korean, and I'll give it a go,
yeah,
because they'll probably
yeah,
somehow they find a way to do it in a way that still finds a way to draw me in.
yeah,
I watched one. It's basically just some like girl band. These like
yeah,
the like idol kind of things that they have in Asia, and just their incredibly shady manager, you know. And it's just like the day to day, dodgy shit he's up to, exploiting them, manipulating them, taking all the money, and
yeah,
all of this, and trying to control them. And it's just fairly mundane, and I've little interest in, girl bands. I like music, but I've little interest in watching a show about a girl band and a
yeah,
dodgy manager. It's still, regardless of my musical background,
yeah,
I probably wouldn't watch the American version of that, but give me in a Korean drama, and I was spellbound. I can't remember the name now,
yeah,
but I was hooked. It was great.
yeah. There's one called The Glory, which was very good. I don't know if you've watched The
Oh
Glory.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, The Glory was one of the best ones I've seen for Korean dramas. That sort of drew me in. But yeah, they've got some good dramas out there. It makes the Korean people look a bit crazy, really, and just as crazy as the English, really. So you can relate to them more with their drinking and all the rest of it.
yeah, yeah. There is something yeah, strangely relatable. But it's at the same time a vastly different culture. But
Yeah,
there's as with most things, there's more that unites us than separates us. As you
so,
find if you take a chance on these things.
yeah.
Um, so you're not averse to subtitles. Again, I know a lot of
To be
people.
honest with you, I usually watch them once they've dubbed into
All right.
English. If you must, yeah. I'm not often one for watching the subtitles. I'm usually one once the K dramas are dubbed into English is when I watch them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm not snobby about that kind of thing. Some people are. Really, I don't know if you ever come across and go, oh no, you have to watch it in the original language. Otherwise, to a degree, it does. You lose a little something,
yeah,
because obviously you've got an actor going
yeah,
out of their way to try and perform and produce all the relevant emotions or whatever for the scene,
yeah,
and the dubbing actor often seems to be kind of somewhat phoning it in by comparison. So sometimes, like, the visuals, the guy's like really, really fucking distraught,
yeah.
but the audio is just kind of like some kind of practically text to speech. At times, I was like, oh no. My wife has left me and run over the dog while taking the car and the kids on their way out. This
No,
kind of
cool.
talk. Yeah, again, you can lose things. Sometimes that dubbing performance aren't exactly the greatest
No, that's true.
performances, but you know,
No, that's very true. Yeah,
I tend to find whenever I find something, if it's like a foreign language TV show, movie, animation, once I find it in whatever format, if I found the dubbed version, I've got to stick with the dubbed version to the end now. Once I've
yeah,
started, even if I think they're terrible, I have those voices attached to
yeah,
those characters now.
yeah,
And I can't change halfway through and go, oh no, this is terrible. I'll watch the subs. It's like, no, I've
Yeah,
started. I'll just see it through.
yeah. I tend to stick to the dub ones. I'm just maybe it's a bit lazy for reading subtitles or something.
Ah, it's not. It's not lazy. I mean, because sometimes they're fucking ridiculously small. Sometimes they flash up ridiculously quickly to try and read
Yeah,
before getting on to the next bit. Sometimes the subtitles are just, even though like you don't speak a word of Korean, for example, but you know from reading the subtitles that it's wrong.
yeah,
You
yeah,
can just tell that it doesn't, like, maybe they've done a literal translation which is off
yeah.
the wrong. At least there'll be a few words that are quite wrong, so it's you're trying to get it just like when you're reading a book or whatever. You try and get the voices of the characters in your head. Yeah, subtitles can be dog shit by
No,
all accounts as
no,
well,
it's
and
true.
definitely missing something in translation and taking the edge off really dramatic scenes by being phrased really awkwardly.
Yeah, no, true. I understand that.
So what was so have you got, is there any uh, actors or maybe directors that are like that are big go-tos for you?
Uh,
Like if
um,
they're involved, you're up for it. You know you're going to give it a go. You know.
Overall, were the classics like Martin Scorsese or Harvey Keitel. Sorry,
Yeah.
not Harvey Keitel. Quentin
Oh
Tarantino.
yeah.
Not Harvey Keitel. Quentin Tarantino, Martin Scorsese, Steven Spielberg. But this is just me growing up,
Yeah.
and I don't know. There's so many new ones out there now. I'm just trying to think, but I mean, I remember watching Taxi Driver when I was quite young, and that probably came out the year I was born. So Martin Scorsese has always been a sort of go-to, like Oliver Stone. Growing up, the staples of films around that generation. Now I'm watching films and I'm not even aware who's directing. I'm not aware who's producing. And
Yeah.
uh, there's probably hundreds out there now that I wouldn't even know the names of.
Yeah. I mean, you've got to see something that really drags you in or blows
Yeah.
you away to want to bother to look up. Oh, who did that? Because that was really good. I want to see more of that. So whoever made that, I want to see
Mm.
more of the same.
Yeah.
And it feels like it's been a while, since we
Yeah.
had like a genuinely big sort of event.
Well, things have changed. I mean, from cinema and getting videos from Blockbuster, and now suddenly you're on Netflix, and there's like 10 million shows
Yeah.
to choose from. It's like, who's doing that? Who's doing that? I don't know. We just watch a film, and it's like, I don't know who directed that. I've never heard of them, but it's just like music now. There's just so much choice,
Yeah, I
so
mean,
much,
it's
so much difference.
like I said, there's so many platforms for artists to be able to get their work out there, which you think can't possibly be a bad thing, right? But we've been consuming it in this format now,
Mm.
both with like all the digital streaming, whether it's your music or movies and TV shows. We've been doing it for a while now, so it's been a fair experiment, and I'm not sure that it is working out for the best, to be honest.
Mm. I think it's just a sign of the times, really, because some stuff's some stuff's okay. Some stuff's not as good as others.
Yeah, it's like having all that access. It makes it easier to kind of somewhat rely on the algorithm to tell you what to listen to. People aren't finding it
Yeah,
themselves. Is one element. Another element for me, I think, it's good for the artists to have more opportunities to get their stuff out there.
yeah,
But that just means there's more artists doing that, which means it's just as easy to get lost in that
no,
mix
it's true.
that
Yeah,
that you will actually never find you. So what you thought was a great thing, oh, I can actually have my to be able to get your songs on Spotify, which like back when I was trying to make music, I could never imagine doing that. I was trying to save up hundreds of pounds to book recording studios to make a fairly shitty sounding 3-4 track EP to try and accost people in the middle of the street trying to sell it them or trying to sell it at gigs, to get people to hear it.
Yeah.
And now it's like, oh, I'll just put it on Spotify. Yeah, but I'll never hear you. The chances of Spotify actually giving me you are relatively slim.
Yeah.
Even if you are a band very much within my musical sphere of listening, but you've still got like 1,000,000 to 1 chance of the algorithm throwing you up to me. You know? So there's a good chance I'm still going to miss you. We're gone again. Hey. Yeah, so it's
back.
I'm not sure it's necessarily all it's cracked up to be, and nobody seems to be really getting paid out of this shit either. From the artist side of things. So
just the economics now, isn't it? Because of ever since Napster, which was in the early 2000s, and the file sharing, and it just almost broke the music industry instantly with Napster, and then suddenly you've got iPods, and iPods tried to save that loss of markets that was going to see the end of CDs. Yeah, the iPod, that was early 2000, I remember, and then suddenly somehow it's evolved into Spotify or whatever other streaming platform you're going to watch it on, listen to it, and it's like it's hard in a way. I mean, it's like any musician, any band has the freedom to upload their stuff to Spotify, but it's like how they dictate how many followers they're going to get. How much, it doesn't matter how many gigs they do, or I mean, it's like it's hard to understand how some bands get more followers than others, because some music's probably better than people that have got more followers, and it's how does that work out? I mean, who's determining who's listening to what? Because them Screaming Teeth, they're an amazing band, but then how are they gonna try and increase their traffic on Spotify?
Yeah, it's as hard as it's ever been for the artist. None of this has made it easier for artists to be able to give up the day job and become full-time artists. It's none of this has really helped the artist in that sense. I mean, Spotify's original claims back in the day was that's what they were here for. They were going to help artists make a living. What they actually do is help artists maybe make literally a few pence a year, even if you do have quite a significant amount of listeners.
Yeah, it's hard. Taylor Swift, she's probably making quite a bit of money out of Spotify.
Yeah.
And
I mean, somebody's fucking making out of it, but it ain't the artists that are on there.
No, that's true.
That's true. But there is so many great artists out there. The best things you can do, kids, is check your local listings.
Yeah.
For guys like this, putting on shows, and everything old is new again. It's 2024. It's no different to 1974. You've got to get off your ass
and get out.
You've got to go to a club.
Yeah.
You've got to check out a band who you've never heard.
Yeah.
Who you don't know. But now at least you can look them up on the internet before you go. Check for the adverts. Go with the promoters, and then you can purposely look them up and listen to them. And if it's your thing, then go see it.
Yeah.
Freaking follow, whatever. It's great. But the best thing you can do is get out and go to the gig.
Yeah. Live music.
That's still the number one best thing you can do to help the artists.
Yeah, to actually see them live.
And that's when they'll be at their best, and that's when you'll enjoy them the most.
And buy a
That
t-shirt as well.
atmosphere, that fucking tribal human, it's genetically imprinted in us. We've been making music as soon as we started banging on cave walls. You know, it's what we do. You know,
yeah, definitely.
If you just grunt. There you go. You know, the first fucking death metal song was made by some Neanderthal. Maybe he was constipated, and you know.
Probably was. Probably was.
But you know, so it's like that's what you've got to do. That's still where it's at.
Yeah, definitely the live music scene, local bands.
That's going to be the most opportunity that the artists have got to make any money as well.
Yeah.
Because if you then buy their EP, buy their T-shirt from that show.
Yeah.
If you've bought a ticket, if you paid any kind of entrance fee, you know, that will no doubt help them out a damn sight more than even if you put their song on repeat on Spotify and left it on all week.
Yeah.
You know, they'll still
for
make
not 3 pence or so, go stream, I don't know.
As a percentage, a percentage, the band's going to make more from you just checking out that one show.
Yeah, that's true.
The closest, most local show you can get to. I'm not asking you to go to the ends of the earth, you know, just to help out some local boys and girls. Just wait, by all means, wait till they're at your local at the top of the street, because you know if your local's any good, they'll be in touch with this guy, and they'll have them on.
That will.
So you know, just bide your time. They'll be there, and that's the best way you can support. It still is.
And I think there's a big music scene now in Sheffield. It's going to explode even more over these next few years.
I think what seems to be like does there seem to be a sort of dominant genre at the minute in your
heavy stoner rock mainly. I'm not sure. I didn't even know what that stood for, to be honest with you, when I first started promoting stoner rock. For me, I thought it meant you smoke a bit of cannabis and listen to music, but then I realised it was some form of heavy metal. But I don't know. It's hard to say. There's a lot of genres still out about there. I've heard so much different music and so many local different bands. It's just that there's hundreds of them, you know, and they're all trying to get a piece of the pie. They're all trying their best to play different venues, and it's just like a jungle out there at the moment. And there's a few bands that I've heard of that they're playing a few venues. I might not have seen them yet, but I see them on my Instagram feed, on my Facebook. VIP Suite that I did have at Mashup Day. I mean, they're gigging all the time, and they're a great band. They refer to themselves as Green Day meets can't think of the other band, but they're like heavy rock, and they're touring all the time, you know, and they're flat out, and you just sort of wonder what the magic combination is really to get the popularity going on the platforms, really, on the streaming platforms.
Yeah. So what's I'll hurt me next. I'll start wrapping this up. But what's how can I put this? What impresses you? You know, about an artist? Is it like being something? Like just being like really good at what they do, or like are you always trying to look for something kind of sort of new, different, something unique, just something that they've got that's really
right. Yeah, I'd go for that.
More
some sort of originality and something that makes them stand out from the rest, really. Something that makes them unique.
I mean, I do keep saying it has it is 2024, kids, and it has all been done.
Yeah,
There's no getting away from that. Everything's going to be derivative of something.
yeah,
But uh, I always say it's never been done the way you do it. You know, every artist has their own story to tell,
yeah,
and only you can tell it that way because it's you. Nobody, you might be fairly easy to pigeonhole your band and label yourself and just go, oh yeah, we're pop punk, for
yeah,
off the top of my head, and be quite happy to sit within that and be called that. Because a lot of
yeah,
artists are like, they hate labels and they don't want to be called this because, we want to be free and we cross genres and like, yeah, that's great, but you've got to sell yourself somehow. People want to know what they're
yeah.
going
That's
to hear.
true.
So you kind of have to narrow it down and pick at least a couple. But you may be very happy to just be, yeah, we're a pop punk band. But, you know, no other pop punk
Just an
band
originality
ever
in
has
there, so
played
it
it.
separates from the rest,
Yeah.
really.
Nobody's played it the way you play it.
Yeah,
Whoever you are, I don't know who I'm speaking to, but nobody's played it the way you play it. So
yeah,
there's no reason to. It's not like, oh, don't do it, because there's loads of others out there and they're all better than me or whatever. No, do it because
yeah. Still go ahead
there's going to
and
be
do it.
something. If you do it enough and you get out there,
Yeah,
both live and online these days, if you just keep doing it the way you do it, there'll be just something about the way you do it that
yeah,
people will prefer the way you do it over the way the other bands do it. And it
yeah,
can be very subtle and nuanced and maybe even hard to even put your finger on and describe what it is.
yeah,
But there's something that's just innately that artist
yeah.
that we all as fans that we pick up on. And that's why we prefer that one over that one. And we're not
Yeah,
saying
that's
the other
true.
one's bad, we just prefer that one. We'll always
Yeah,
that
there's a lot more
will always be a
competition
thing.
now, but I think the fans are the ones to decide, and they know who they want to see and who they don't want to see.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I think that's the crux of it. Whatever art form you're doing, I think it just the same rules apply. It's art, so it's all interpretive and everything. So what one guy likes, another guy will dislike. So it's just don't fucking worry about it. Just
yeah. No, it's true. No,
just make it. I think the best bit of advice I ever got when I was attempting to make art was to just not worry about, like, you had no fans when you
yeah,
started. You had no fans when you started. So don't worry about, like, losing any. If you're lucky enough to get some, and
yeah,
then maybe for whatever reason you feel like a bit of a shift in
yeah,
direction for where you're going, don't think twice about it. Like, oh no, but I'm having success with this. Maybe I should stick with this. As an
yeah.
artist, you've got to, go with your soul,
No, it's
because the
true.
fans, we love the fans, but at the same time, fuck them. you know,
Mhm.
because
No,
if
we're not.
a real fan doesn't want to hear that same song over and over again,
Yeah,
surely they want to hear you do something different. Surely they would be impressed by,
so
oh wow, they made a
new
country song.
material. Yeah, yeah. No,
I mean,
definitely.
that's how I feel. If you like, release a pop punk album and then release a real, like, down, fucking depressing country album,
Yeah.
I'll be like,
No, why
wow,
not? That would be
didn't
good.
see that coming.
Changing direction. No, it'd be fine.
Yeah, I think it's great. But anyway, kids, let's start wrapping this up. This guy, this guy is called Sean. You will find him under the banner of artistic
Artistic movement.
movement, music, and other things, but mainly music. Um, so you don't want to really be inundated with a shitload of new bands right now.
I'll just share. Still got a few out there that I'm going to re-gig.
But
And I've still got my gig in November the 2nd.
yeah, but get on it. Like the guy, follow the guy, keep tabs
Yeah.
on it. When he's ready, he'll let you know.
Yeah.
Look at all the success the other
Yeah.
artists currently work with are getting, and you'll want a piece of that action. So get yourself poised and ready
Yeah.
to slide in that inbox when he's consenting, only with
Yeah.
consent, kids.
Yeah.
Then you can slide on in there. Until
Okay.
then,
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Johnny.
oh, it's been a pleasure. It's always
It's
fun.
been a
Good.
great interview.
We need you. When I needed you, where the fuck were you when I needed you?
Well, I've
I
only been
did
in this game for just over a year, so it wasn't
did
then.
all the booking and shit myself, and I know how stressful and terrible it is. And good luck to you. You're welcome
Thank
to
you.
it. I don't want to do it again anytime soon.
Thanks for having me on, Johnny.
Yeah, so keep up the good work,
Okay.
and I'll keep promoting. I'll keep promoting you. You
Thank
keep
you.
promoting them.
I will.
Everybody wins.
Thank you, Johnny.
Bye for now.
See you soon,
See
Johnny.
ya.
Cheers. Thank you, mate. Cheers. Bye.